Hi everyone. Hope you have fun at AWE. So today I'm going to talk about AI tools, generative AI tools, and how to use them to make XR experiences faster. A little bit about myself. I've been working for 10 years in this industry. I work as a creative director. Mostly do XR storytelling. I've worked with a lot of immersive films and immersive digital experiences, um, working with clients like Universal Pictures, Meta, Microsoft, Netflix, Valve, etc. This is some R&D work I did in the past. So I've been doing a lot of digital production over the last 10, 15 years. And I'm really excited to see new AI tools which are coming out there. And I want to show you how you can actually use these tools to speed up of process of development. For me, it's also very exciting times because there were ways to create things like 3D assets, sound assets, code, traditionally, let's say, and now we can sort of speed up this process and cut corners. Okay, let's get into it. These are some of the clients I've been working with. Yeah. What's on the menu today? So I will go through a process of creating a simple XR experience. And on each step of creating XR experience, I want to show you how instead of using traditional apps and tools, we can use AI tools. Most of those AI tools, they came out just 1 or 2 years ago. So they're all pretty new, but they changed the workflow, how we can actually create things. So I will go through steps of conceptualizing, how you bring your idea to a more plan of what you're going to build, the art direction, creating 2D assets, creating 3D assets, creating the actual lens, audio, etc. One note is that this recent AI revolution is not something new. We already had many of them in the past, and the recent one is just one of them. We had like, yeah, these are the least historical technological revolutions when things changed the way they've been produced. This is important to take into account that we're living in an interesting time, but it's not the first time that it's happening. Something I want to mention is like why everyone was talking about AI and what is so special about AI right now, because AI is a very broad term. What's new about AI is artificial neural networks, and in particular LLMs, that we can use human language to create images. We can use human language to create 2D images and 3D assets, and as well as sound assets, etc. We can use human language to speed up to create code, so we don't need to talk to machine in a kind of machine language, but we can actually use human language now to create all these things. And that's what's different. That's what is changing, because before, to use any of the tools, we had to learn the tool and learn a particular language, but now we have this buffer, this interface, which does it for us. So we can use human language to interact with different tools and apps to create. These are some of the tools and apps I'm gonna use in this tutorial. ChatGPT, Gemini from Google, Mesh AI, and Creo for creating 3D assets, Cursor and Claude, which is like code assistants, which help you to use human language to create code, and Photopea is like one of my favorite tools. Is like basically free online Photoshop, and Adobe Firefly to create sounds. Since most of these tools work with text and human language, it's important to learn the art of prompting. I think these days, any of you who use AI tools will learn to communicate with LLMs. We used to communicate with AI tools with a human language. And this human language is very particular. You have to express what you need to do in a particular way. And writing prompts becoming a very important part of the process. A few things I want to mention how to write a good prompt is mention the context, mention details, write negative prompts, and use other LLMs to help you to write prompts. So let's say if you write a prompt for image generation for ChatGPT, you can ask ChatGPT to help you to write this prompt in the first place. So sometimes we as humans, we don't know how to express ourselves properly, so we can actually ask a machine like ChatGPT or Gemini to help us to express ourselves properly. So we can, before feeding the prompt into a certain tool, we can actually shape that prompt through also like LLMs like ChatGPT. LLMs is large language models. So these are changing the way we create these days, and it's important to learn about them, and it's important to try them and slowly adopt them in our like production workflows. I'm gonna show you how create an XR lens within 1 hour, which traditionally would take me maybe 1 day or like 2 days. When I wanted to make this lens, I was thinking what kind of lens I'm gonna do, and I decided to do something which connected to AWE and Singapore. So I took these two concepts as main concepts, and I wanted to combine these two. So as a Singapore identity, I found like this how I call Merlion. What's the right way to say it? Merlion. Okay, Merlion. Merlion. And from the AWE identity, everything which comes to my mind is this award figures. So I wanted to combine these two to create like a character for my lens. And I want to go through the process of creating this character. So basically, I took some references for both. So we have now good references for the Merlion and for the award of AWE. Let's see how we can combine them. So this is my first attempt of combining them two. So I would love to show you basically the first row. If we go, I want to show which tools did I use. I took a reference from the internet and then removed the background. There is like a tool for AI, which you just drop the picture. It removes a background, which traditionally would take you like way longer to do, like manually. Then I go and I turn this photo like in a special kind of isometric view, which is called 3/4 view, because I wanted to combine both of the things in this camera view. And this I did with Gemini. So basically I said, Gemini, can you turn this object like this? So what I'm trying to do here is almost like a 3D modeling, but in 2D view. So I turned this one like a little bit into isometric view. Then I went with the second reference and I did exactly the same. So I removed the background and I turned it a little bit the same camera view. And then since they had a different type of material, I wanted to make the same material so it would be easier to combine them. So I said, okay, ChatGPT, can we restyle this image of the this guy into more like maybe clay or similar to what I have? Traditionally, it would be very hard to do, like if you would work with Photoshop, let's say. But now with the AI, like Gemini and ChatGPT, you can restyle things, you can turn, you can change camera rotation. So basically, we have two references which have exactly the same material and we have exactly the same camera view. So in Photoshop, like I use Photopea, which is like basically free Photoshop. I put them together, and that's what turned out. And I thought, okay, it kind of what I wanted, but not exactly, because it looks kind of weird. So I decided to do another iteration, and this is something I noticed is good to do in AI. Just take extra iterations to make things look better. So as a second iteration, I think the Augie award had like half skeleton, half real. So I decided to take this statue and turn it into a skeleton. So I just write like, Gemini, can you just turn it into a skeleton? And then that's what I got, like a skeleton of the Merlion. And then I had this lens from the avatar, put them together, and that's what I had. Then I thought, like, to actually 3D model a skeleton is very difficult because, I mean, if anyone would work with the 3D assets, you would realize that the sculpt skeleton would be really hard. Even if I would put them together, I would have half skeleton Merlion, half like with the lens. It would be really difficult to do a 3D model of it. So the thing is, this is something that comes from the experience because I already know how to do something like this traditionally. So I avoid some pitfalls like on each step, and I trying to basically cut corners, but keep in mind like what I actually can do. Yeah, to go on the next step. So we already had, yeah, as I go back, this is what my final thing looks like. It doesn't look like a skeleton because I avoid this. It would be hard to do a 3D model of it. So I would go with just this clean look. The next, the next thing would be styling, and this is something I do a lot when I create 3D models with AI, with this type of modeling. So I try different styles for my model just to see how maybe one of the styles would look more interesting and have more character. So I tried these different styles and I end up using this one from like anime. It's like very clean look, also appealing, like very nice. And in the end, we have our goal, like basically what we wanted to achieve, a character which influenced by AW and Singapore identity, both in cute anime style, this one. The next would be to actually create a 3D model out of it. And again, a lot of tools help us to do it. Like traditionally I would do it by hand, right? Like I would go and sculpt it. But now we can just use all these models which would create a model out of a single image. And these are different models I tried and to see which one would work and which not. This is also a big process of it. So I tried Hunian and Trellis, which are new models of creating 3D models out of images. And the best one, and my favorite, is like Mesh AI. They did the best work. So that's what turned out of it. And the topology of the model is quite good. So topology is like the way polygons are built around the model. And I had to fix a little bit a few things. Like polishing is like a big part of creating, I would say, 2D and 3D assets. So once you work with AI, you need to do an extra step to just like maybe manually paint a little bit of things. For example, in the model which it generated, it had some glitches. So I had to like do a few touches to kind of make it look a bit better. So within this just few minutes, let's say half an hour, I had the 3D model from the concept to the image to 3D model. It's really fast. And then I decided to do like an actual lens. And for that, I used Niantic Studio and Cursor AI. Cursor is basically a code assistant. So I could, I will guide you through a little bit how I created the experience. Cursor is one of these tools which help you to code with the human language. It's a new thing called vibe coding. I can just tell to Cursor, can you write me a code which animate this model, or which will make this model to show up, something what you would explain to a junior developer or junior a person in your team. Like basically having an AI assistant is something like that. If you would have a bigger team and you have a junior a person coming to your team, you would explain them, can you do this and that? And then you supervise this and you take an extra step to see what they've built and kind of go on like this. So instead of actually having a junior developer, I can use Cursor. The way I went with this, I asked Cursor to do like a few extra animations, extra things on the logic. So you ask, for example, I already took a template and then I said to the Cursor, this is Natick Studio script. So explaining the context where I'm working on, which makes object appear, and tapping on the plane. Then can you add logic to the script, which would rotate after appearance, and etc., etc. And Cursor would add blocks of code one by one. By the way, this is the QR code you can use to see the lens. You can try this QR code. It's a WebAR lens, so you don't have to install anything. It works just on your browser. Cursor understands the context, so sometimes you don't have to explain extra things. And an example of that would be I asked, can you add bobbing animation to the script? In the past, I didn't even know what bobbing animation is. It's like when you have some object in it hovering up and down. And I wanted to test if actually Cursor would understand what it is. And it actually did. So basically, when I asked him, can you add this type of animation on the script? And it says, adding bobbing animation, vertical up and down animation. So it's really cool. It understands what you're trying to achieve, and it break it down to tasks, and it writes the code for you. So it's pretty cool tool to work with, but you still need to supervise it. There's this concept of vibe debugging. I really like the meme. Basically, they said, yeah, if you like vibe coding, you should like vibe debugging. Vibe debugging is the process to basically supervising the results you got, and that your processes and your LLMs is just not tripping somewhere else. So I've seen it many times when people don't have a developer background and they trying to put something together with vibe coding tools, and then they just go completely off the track. So I think using these tools, you still need to have some understanding how things work, and on every step you have to still supervise the result and take care of that things going where you intended to go. But what I really like about vibe coding is what is it good for. Basically, it's good for brainstorming. It's good for building MVPs. Again, MVPs, if you need to put something together, if you want to create some small app and you don't have much experience, it's a perfect tool for that. So you can vibe code something very quickly without hiring people. Or even if you have a little knowledge, you can make things work, make code work without like knowing how it works. But through this process also you're learning coding and learning about programming concepts. So these tools like Claude and another tool and Cursor, they explain you what exactly they're doing. So through the process of using vibe coding, you actually learn coding, etc. etc. Okay, a little bit, maybe one of the last things I want to mention is MCPs. This is still a new thing. MCPs, it's a thing which will be used more in the future. Now they kind of more in the prototype state, but when we have, as I mentioned, for example, creating this app required me multiple different tools. Let's say one is to create 3D asset, another to create sound asset, another create 2D asset, and maybe something to create code, and they all separate. So in the future, we'll have something like a protocol in between, which would connect all these different tools together that you can actually use one place to write prompts, and it would connect them all together so you can easily build apps and experiences, because right now we don't really have this layer of abstraction. We have services like, let's say, if we use Meshi, which is like text to 3D, we have LLM running on Meshi. But like once we would have this abstraction between LLM and services, let's say we can have multiple of them running in the same time and talking to each other. You can use traditional software with prompts as well. Traditional software which not meant to be used with prompts. A good example of that, let's say, if you use Blender, like it's already happening right now, you can write, can you make me a 3D model of this and that, and just give them one single image of reference. And Blender, which is a traditional 3D modeling software, would build a entire 3D model for you just from one single image reference. The same, creating sounds, creating designs in Figma, creating Unity scenes, etc. Just from texting. Audio assets, I just mentioned really quickly that my favorite is the Adobe Firefly. You can create sound effects with text, and there is also stable audio and Suno, where you can create music with text. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you liked the talk, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I will stick around here for a bit. This is the QR code if you want to find more about my works. Okay. If anyone have any questions, please feel free.
On number 4, when you use a photo to create 3D asset, what happens if, does it help? If you take multiple angle around the model, does it get a better result?
Yeah, so some tools, they use this. In fact, right now, the way these tools work, they first create different angles of the model, and then they use these different angles to create the actual model. But now some of the tools, they give you ability to upload all these different angles. Now it's kind of, most of the time happens behind the scenes. So it's, yeah, it's already kind of part of the process, but yeah. Meshi. Meshi AI, yeah.
Hi, I'm a developer, so coder. But when you create your 3D model using the AI tools, and then at the end you had to do some polish to it. So if I'm not a 3D modeler, would I be stuck with the deformed mesh, or is there something I can do
yes.
about it?
The answer is yes. Because right now it's like still a kind of prototype phase. You still would need to hire a 3D artist who can do that, or learn it yourself. But yeah, it's not perfect right now. Like that's the answer, I would say.
Hey, is there a way to safeguard our projects using AI or otherwise so that we can port them from platforms that end up closing, like A4?
Like which platforms? What do you mean?
Can you somehow make it easier to save the project so that it can be ported to another platform if it has to be?
The results of, basically you can save the prompts, you can save the images, and you can save the results. And the results of the using AI tools, they're standardized formats. Like if you work with the 3D, it's like would be GLB file. If, yeah, so it's easy to save. It's not a specific AI format, so they portable. Yeah.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you very much for the questions, and join me in thanking Vladimir for an excellent presentation.